Live on iHeartRadio, powered by 710 Radio. This is The Kingdom of Healing with Kimberly Mateo. So grab you a pen and a paper, kick your feet up, and get ready for some serious knowledge to be dropped on you. Because Kimberly Mateo is a nationally certified naturopath, master herbalist, iridologist, a nutritionist, and a holistic healer since 1977. She shares 35 plus years of knowledge and experience to listeners who are interested in learning and overcoming health challenges naturally. So without further delay, here is the host of your show, Kimberly Mateo.
Hi, welcome back to Kingdom of Healing. This is Kimberly Mateo, and I hope that what I share with you after 38 years in alternative healing will help you and your family to overcome any kind of health challenges that you're dealing with. I want to finish up on this show this week on some of the herbal medicine chest that it would be really, really good for you to have on hand and available whenever things come up in your household. One of the things I talked a lot about was the silver, and that everything you can find on the kingdomofhealing.com. That's kingdomofhealing.com. And if you go on that page and up in the upper right-hand corner, or where you find that search bar. And I think it says shop. It also says shop.
Yep.
And if you know what you're looking for by what I talk about on the show, you can find it under the category of shop. Then when you go to checkout, you're going to see the retail prices as well as the wholesale prices. And I want you to be able to get those at the direct wholesale cost because it saves you 40-45%.
It's a good substantial savings
over what the retail is. So when you get everything into your cart and it's time to check out, there will be a box if you want to become a member. And that member fee is normally $40, but if you end up with an order that comes to $40 or more, that membership is free. And so then that way the whole order changes. The cost amount changes. And so you end up, for instance, if you have a $100 order and you knock 45% off, that's pretty substantial.
Yes, it
amount
is.
of money to come off of that order. So that is the way to take advantage of being able to get everything at direct wholesale. So the silver, it is an amazing product. It has been tested up against 8 of the big gun antibiotics. You can, we have it in the 2 different strengths in the liquid, the Silver Shield. And I like to buy the stronger one, and it comes in a 16-ounce bottle. It runs around $40 some at wholesale. And so then there is the Silver Gel, and we also have one for deep wounds, where if you have had some surgery, stitches, or a surgery where you're literally having to clean and irrigate that wound and then pack it. It's excellent to put the silver liquid in a little spray bottle, and then once you clean everything out, spray the wound with that silver full strength. Then with the gauze, you can add in the silver gel that is made for deep wounds. Okay, and so you can use that, and that will literally facilitate healing much, much quicker. And it keeps that area free of any kind of bacteria that, viruses or bacterias to develop in that area or to settle in that area. And it's a weakened condition in the body when you've gone through a surgery and you have a wound like that. So you want to do everything you can to make sure that it's clean and you're doing things that are going to help that to heal rapidly and stay free of any kind of infection from settling there. So that works really well to use that there. But the other thing is the liquid silver to have on hand, the silver shield. To have that on hand, you can put that, children can take that at any age. If they seem a little stuffy, you can put a couple of drops up the nose. If they're complaining about their ear bothering them, you can put a couple drops down in the ear. Have them lay on their side with the ear that's bothering them up. Have them lay there for 8 minutes and do that 2, 3, 4 times. And it is said that in the first 8 minutes that you eradicate any kind of bacteria from the studies that have been done.
Interesting.
And I've had them sometimes where they do go away with just that first time. And then there are other ones if it is, if there's an ear infection along with a bad sinus infection. You are going to need to do that with a couple of drops down the ear 2, 3 more times. And if there is the sinus infection that you suspect going on, eyes hurt, forehead hurts, temple hurts, then what I would do is use that to bring up into the nose, up into the sinus cavity. A lot of people will use neti pots and do the saline irrigations. I would rather irrigate the sinuses with the silver because of the antiviral, antibacterial properties that it has. And it just works. It works the best. I talked a lot about aloe vera as well, and we have that in aloe vera juice. We have aloe vera concentrate, where 1 ounce of the whole leaf aloe vera concentrate, 1 ounce is equal to 10 ounces of a juice, of a regular aloe juice. So certainly it doesn't really cost that much more than the aloe vera juice, and it's always what I always end up, what I buy and what I have on hand in the refrigerator. So it's 10 times stronger, so it's equivalent to 10 ounces.
Okay.
Very powerful stuff. That can also be used in a spray bottle to spray down any wound areas as well. Also taken internally. You don't have to take as much. A teaspoon of the 10 times strength is very, very concentrated, and that's very potent. And you can put, a teaspoon of aloe vera into some juice, and it does not change its properties. With the silver, it does. So always, if you're going to take the silver orally, you need 15 minutes to a half an hour of nothing, no fluids before taking it. And then you need to wait 15 to 30 minutes after taking the silver before you have any other fluids introduced, into your mouth and to the digestive tract. So don't put silver in water. Don't put silver in juice.
So does it taste bad?
You change its structure. It has a little metally taste to it.
Taste to it?
It does, but it's not overpowering.
Oh, okay.
It is something that is, fairly easy to swallow and get down. It's not like, opening your mouth and taking in some lobelia, which is extremely hot. I mean, it's hot. The extract of lobelia is very hot, and it doesn't taste good at all. Catnip fennel doesn't taste good. Catnip extract does not taste good. There's a lot of herbs. My youngest one, who's 30, learned how to swallow capsules when he was like 3 or 4 years old. He was real tired of the vegetable-based glycerins that I would just, some of them it's just better to put a squirt of it in their mouth and get it over with. Because some of them alters the taste so much of the food that if you put it into the food, it is a lot harder to get 4 ounces of applesauce down or something. So, you just reduce that. You mix some in, maybe a tablespoon of applesauce or yogurt applesauce, organic applesauce, cinnamon with cinnamon in it. That masks a lot of things, and it does make it a lot easier palatable to get it down, because there's some pretty icky tasting herbs. Valerian, I've joked about valerian numerous times throughout the shows, and with that, because it is really an awful tasting herb. It is much better to take that in have it capsulated. The next thing is alfalfa. It neutralizes the pH. Chlorophyll our chlorophyll is made from alfalfa. There's 2 different ones. There's the regular chlorophyll, and then there's the chlorophyll ES, which is extra strength, but it does have a different taste to it. It's a little sweeter, and for 35 plus years, I've consumed the regular chlorophyll that was made from alfalfa. So that I prefer the one that I've been drinking all those years.
Right.
The regular chlorophyll is made with alfalfa, concentrated alfalfa juice is what that is, and they have a little bit of peppermint flavoring into that, because chlorophyll just by itself is not palatable either. Have you ever done wheatgrass juice?
No.
It's
at least I don't think so.
Wheatgrass juice and kale juice. I'm sorry, I put them in the same category. I mean, you just have to. The only way that I can swallow it is I know how amazing it is. So it's like you buck up and you drink it. It has, it's very strong.
Okay.
The chlorophyll ES, the extra strength, that's made from a variety of greens, because when that plant becomes green, that's the blood of the plant. That's the chlorophyll, and that the only difference with the chlorophyll is the center atom of chlorophyll is magnesium, and our blood, the center atom is iron. But it has everything in it to help to build a healthy bloodstream, to deodorize, to detoxify gently. And a lot of these, we hear so much about this cleanse. I was always taught that, yes, about cleansing, but also about building. And when you're giving the body all the nutrients that it needs, it detoxifies at a level that it can handle. When you go on a lot of those detox programs, you are forcing a lot of poisons that have been held on to, because the cellular structure in your body is not strong enough to deal with having those being released and circulating in the body. So I'm not really a big fan of a lot of these, everybody's talking about, cleansing and detoxifying. And, you didn't get this way just overnight. You got into your situation over a period of time, over a period of years. And you can't clean all of that out in 3 to 6 months, nor do you want to stay on some type of a cleanse, 3 to 6 months. So it's good to balance some of those cleansers with a good amount of builders. And alfalfa is always considered a builder. It's also a cleanser in the sense that it helps the body to detoxify gently so that you can make sure that you don't injure any cells or your kidneys or your liver by cleansing too much. And, coffee enemas, were taught about helping to detoxify the liver and removing a lot of poisons quickly. In the Merck Manual, which is the medical doctor's Bible, which goes through every single disorder and where they come from, and as best that they know. And so the thing is that, coffee enemas were in the Merck Manual, and it was something that was used to detoxify quickly, and pull poisons from the liver. That was in the Merck Manual up until 1970, and then it was pulled.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, back to alfalfa.
I wonder why it was pulled.
Well, probably because too many people were getting well. It's not. We're not set up. The healthcare in this country is not set up for you to be healthy. They don't make money. There's no money made with healthy people. If you're healthy, you're not going in
because
to see anybody.
It's funny that you say
unfortunately,
that because now whenever so your house plants.
Mm-hmm.
Say if your house plants get sick, and you give it a cold cup of coffee that's been room temperature, no sugar, no cream in it, and you give it to that sick plant, it acts like a RX for that plant. There's like an enzyme in that coffee that, I don't know, it acts like an RX to that plant.
Huh. I don't know, maybe it's like 5-hour energy drinks, and the caffeine just perks it up. I give my plants chlorophyll water. This is chlorophyll in here. It's a real deep green.
Dark, huh?
Real deep green. And like I said, I prefer the original one that's just called chlorophyll. But a lot of people like the extra strength one that's made from a variety of other greens as well. But like I said, it has a little sweet taste to it, and it's just not what I've been used to.
May I smell it?
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. In alfalfa, I've talked about this before, it's called the mother of all plants. Its roots grow the deepest and search out all of the minerals and trace minerals in the soil that it's growing in. And not only having powerful cleansing agents, that help to purify the blood and the liver, it's really high in vitamin K. So it helps with clotting formation. So if you're on something as a blood thinner, chlorophyll is certainly something that your doctor is not going to want you to be on because of its vitamin K properties. That's why they'll tell you a lot of times to don't eat any greens when you're on some type of a blood thinner.
Okay.
Because the greens have vitamin K, they have chlorophyll.
All right.
And
All
so
right.
that helps in the blood coagulation. But there's things that you can do naturally to thin your blood. So if you feel as though, you're at risk of stroke or something like that, and the doctor wants you on some type of a blood thinner, I would suggest that you first try the, lemon water throughout the day. Hot lemon water in the morning. Have enough garlic in your diet. That's a natural blood thinner. Vitamin E is also a natural blood thinner. So those are a few things that are very easy to have just right there in your kitchen. And make sure that you're using them a lot with your cooking. Olive oil is excellent as well. So some of the other single herbs here, as well as I just want to finish that alfalfa also helps with, the vitamin K helps with proper clotting, which involves the health of the liver. So your
And
blood,
you
your blood clotting agents are released from the liver. Okay. So vitamin K. Okay, so then you get that from eating enough greens. But like I said, if you're on a blood thinner, they don't want you doing any kind of greens. So that's where I said make sure that you have plenty of lemons and garlic and vitamin E in your diet. Okay. It also helps with hypoglycemia. That's where your blood sugar levels run too low. It helps with stabilizing that. Alfalfa has a good amount of protein in it, and protein is what stabilizes the blood sugar. So one of the things that I might want to add is, this week is Halloween, this weekend, Saturday. And the best way, if you're going to take your children out trick-or-treating, instead of having some type of a little get-together with the children and their friends, and maybe do something that is much healthier for them than the normal tradition of the trick-or-treating and all of the candy and food dye and preservatives and high fructose corn syrup and all of that, is to make sure before they go out trick-or-treating, make sure they have a really good protein supper to get that blood sugar stabilized, so they're not going to want to be digging in that bag, eating candy along the way, and then by the time you get them home, they're so wired, they're bouncing off the walls. And then, in the next week or so is a great time. I think this starts maybe the kickoff season for the dentists, because we go from Halloween and then we're into Thanksgiving, and then once Thanksgiving, there's a whole nother month of all of this food that you normally don't eat, all these pies and sweets and all this. Everybody knocks themselves out making all this candy, and look at how terrible you feel on January 1st, and you're ready for a New Year's resolution, because in the last month to 2 months is the time of the year where the consumption of these types of sugary foods and candy and stuff like that is in excess, more so than any other time of the year, maybe Easter. But the thing is that I think that it's kind of the kickoff time for the dentists. I think they stay very, very busy.
Well, I bet.
Because of all of this. And so protein is what helps to really stabilize that blood sugar. The other thing, mineral content of alfalfa is it has every mineral and trace mineral in it, especially niacin, which is in the B complex family, riboflavin, which is also in the B. And it's also high in vitamin A and vitamin C. So vitamin A is good for the liver. It's good for the eyes. The next single herb that is really good, that's a rescue herb, is blessed thistle. And one time years ago, I did a home visit with a lady who was very sick with an end-stage disease with her reproductive organs. Growing all around her house was thistle. And it was the purple thistle that we call blessed thistle. And it's not been uncommon over the years that when I do a home visit to see somebody, the very herb that they need for what they are dealing with is growing right there within arm's reach around their property.
Wow. Very interesting.
So it is very interesting. She had not only reproductive problems, but she had liver problems. And our liver is where the release and the regulating of the hormones takes place. So blessed thistle is something that is also very good for not only hormone regulation, but also for gently cleansing the liver. Gently.
Okay.
Very gentle liver cleanser. So it stimulates the appetite, blessed thistle. It has an excellent reputation for aiding the liver as well as the kidneys. It's also been used to treat hepatitis and jaundice. And blessed thistle, a lot of times we'll see that in formulas with other bitter herbs like dandelion is a bitter herb, and milk thistle is a bitter herb. And the bitter herbs help the most with cleaning the liver. So that's usually it's always called, the liver is called the seat of anger. So it makes sense that the bitter herbs would be the best herbs for the liver. It works really good as well with arthritis. And the other thing is, blessed thistle is one of those things, a lot of minerals and trace minerals in it as well, and with its ability to balance the hormones. It's an excellent herb that I have recommended over the years for women who are breastfeeding and want to make sure that their milk is really enriched. It doesn't have that opaque color to it like you can almost see through it. It looks like a drop of whole milk with good amount of fat in it. So chlorophyll builds the milk supply if a mother will drink that who is nursing her child. Blessed thistle, it also helps. Blessed thistle also helps with oxygenating, and it helps with the brain, with mental clarity. And every mom knows out there, and dads too, so the mom may get up and be the one that's nursing the baby, but those feedings during the night, they disrupt the whole household. So it's, mom's doing it, but everybody seems to be affected by it until they get to that age where they're sleeping all night. But if you're making really good rich milk, they start sleeping pretty quick all night long. So blessed thistle is another one that helps to enrich the quality of the milk when you're nursing. Alfalfa, or drinking chlorophyll, sitting down with a glass of chlorophyll every time you sit down to nurse. Taking some blessed thistle, marshmallow is another one that's full of minerals and trace minerals, and also helps to enrich the milk. So, so the next one, Cascara sagrada, is a good one to have on hand. It's not only, it stimulates the liver as well, but it has an effect on the whole digestive tract. If you want to get things eliminated quickly out of the body, Cascara sagrada will do that. So, one bottle of Cascara Sagrada in your, herbal medicine chest is it's going to last you a long, long time. Okay, you're not going to go through that bottle of 100 real quick. But what it'll do is it will clean out the digestive tract. So, one of those with a child who maybe the bowels are not eliminating, open and empty one capsule of that into a tablespoon of applesauce and give that to them with a nice amount of water. And I'm not kidding you, within 4 to 6 hours, their bowels are going to eliminate. There was a demonstration years ago where they took a petri dish, and inside of that petri dish was a small section of a large intestine from a mouse. It was just a section that was about a half an inch long. It was laying in the petri dish. And they put a couple drops of an extract of cascara directly on top of that section. Now, there's no blood supply or anything to that. It's dissected. And a couple of drops of the Cascara Sagrada on that, and it started a squeezing motion. So what it does is it stimulates that peristaltic action, that squeezing action, to get everything moving through the small intestine and through the large intestine and to eliminate. So cascara is very powerful that way. But like with pregnancy, you never take single cascara. In pregnancy, you never take aloe vera either. You do not drink aloe vera as well, because aloe vera will also stimulate the peristaltic action, and the uterus. When you go into labor, when a woman goes into labor, that's a peristaltic action, a squeezing action with the uterus as well. And so that is why you don't use cascara or aloe vera during pregnancy, because you don't want to stimulate any of those contractions. You could end up going into early labor.
Interesting.
Okay. Dandelion, dandelion is, it's just an awesome flower. And everybody's always trying to spray and kill them with all their different poisons. And, if you have a lot of dandelions in your yard, you can't really use those until you've lived there 3 years, so that you know for yourself that they've not been sprayed with some type of a toxin. But dandelions are great in salads. Just the flowers, and you can cut up the stems and leaves and add those to add them to a salad. But dandelion helps the whole digestive tract, and it's also extremely high in vitamin A, as well as high in protein. And again, it has bitter resins and oils that stimulate the liver and the kidneys, and also digestive secretions. So a lot of times if you have someone complaining about a lot of stomach issues, dandelion would be very good for that as well as ginger. Ginger works really well, papaya. But dandelion also, if you get those digestive secretions going, you're digesting your food, you're pulling more nutrients out of everything, and if the whole gut is feeling better, you're feeling better. It also helps with purifying the blood, and it's also a very good bitter herb to use to strengthen not only the liver but the pancreas, especially when you have pancreas problems that pancreas became involved due to long-standing liver ailments. Okay, so that's another way that the pancreas can end up not being as healthy as it could be, is if you've had some long-standing liver issues. Garlic, my house is one of those that's never ever without garlic. You find it in 3 or 4 different ways to use it besides fresh. Garlic comes in handy for a lot of things. It stimulates bile production. It lowers the blood fats. It helps with blood pressure. It helps to thin the blood. It's also antibiotic, antiviral. And it'll keep anybody you don't want to speak to away from you if you eat enough of it.
Including vampires.
Including vampires, yeah. So the other thing is, if you do have to consume a lot of garlic, it's good to have on hand some parsley. You put a little handful of little handful, not a handful, pinch up a little bit of some chopped parsley, maybe a teaspoon worth or so, and put that in your mouth, chew that up real well, and that absorbs up that garlic taste or the garlic smell. And parsley is another one that's loaded with minerals and trace minerals. It's the chlorophyll, the natural chlorophyll. That's why it's so deep green. And the parsley in itself is also antiviral and antibacterial. You don't hear it. It doesn't get enough recognition for that, but it's a very powerful antibacterial, the parsley. So garlic, a lot of cultures, and me coming from an Italian restaurant family, a lot of garlic, always cook with it. The other cultures use it freely, and sometimes one's health has to come before one's odor. So if you're going to, like I said, consume enough garlic to take care of whatever it is you're dealing with, you want to have some parsley on hand. There are those that suggest that once the body has been cleansed from all impurities, the garlic smell will no longer be detectable. All these years, I don't know if I believe that 100%, because just the properties of the garlic. I mean, it's going to come out through your pores. Anybody who consumes a lot of garlic, you always know. They're the people that you get a little close to them that you realize then you've stepped back a couple of feet. And you don't cross that line with them, because it doesn't smell real good as it's emitting from the body. And
but that's interesting, though, how they put that, though.
That if the body is detoxified from all impurities, that the garlic won't, you won't be able to detect the smell. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if I'm 100% on.
You're telling me that there's a
thought.
chemical process that happens when the garlic mixes with the toxins.
Well, of course, it's going to break it down.
And that's what. What they're saying is that that's what is causing this odor.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no. The odor in garlic. It's the smell of the garlic that has the properties in it. A lot of this odorless garlic has been tested repeatedly over the years, and it is not potent enough to take care of. Maybe you're taking it for cholesterol. Maybe you're taking it. It's certainly a garlic. Garlic's better to take as a preventative on a regular basis, as an antibacterial than an antiviral, than taking echinacea or golden seal long term. Echinacea and golden seal is another thing that I talked about on the past shows with having in the herbal medicine chest. And echinacea is antiviral, golden seal is antibacterial, but you only take it during the duration of what you're taking it for. Do not use them as preventatives. Long-term echinacea is not good for your liver.
Okay.
And golden seal long term will start to affect your blood sugar, and it will cause your blood sugar, bring your blood sugar down. So golden seal and cedar berries are always wonderful to use if you're dealing with diabetes in order to bring the blood sugar levels down. That will do that, but it will, if you're dealing with an infection, then that's what golden seal is going to deal with at that time. But once you're past the infection being gone, it then starts to work on the blood sugar by driving that down. So those are not something that you can take long-term every day. Garlic, on the other hand, is. And our high-potency garlic is, there's a special process that they do with that, and it's coated in chlorophyll so that it makes it through the stomach and starts breaking down in the small intestine and to be carried and then absorbed then through the bloodstream. So the high-potency garlic that we have that you can order on kingdomofhealing.com, you're not going to smell like garlic with that, and it's because of the special coating that they've put on that tablet. Now, if you eat 3 or 4 of them, you will.
Okay.
But there's no reason to. Taking one of those is at least 4 times stronger than the majority of garlic products that are sold at your local health food store.
Wow.
And it's been tested. You know, this company has a $300 million lab. And it is second to no one's lab in the world when it comes to nutritional supplements.
Wow.
And you also need to remember labeling laws. It can say it has 500 milligrams of whatever, but with the labeling laws, as long as it is like 130 milligrams, you can carry a 500 milligrams on your label of the product.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of deception with the labeling, and they're trying to make it even more deception with labeling by Monsanto fighting, not wanting to label that the different foods in the supermarket have so much GMO or made from
that's
GMO.
Okay. They're losing record profits daily. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah. Well, what they've done to our food supply is unconscionable.
Boy, you
and
should
we have
heard
so
the show
much
that we
disease.
did the other night on chemtrails. Woo!
Yeah, and we have a lot of chemtrails in Colorado. And not all states. When I was gone for almost 3 weeks and traveling, there are a few states where I did not see any chemtrails at all. But you get around into these states where you're in a highly, highly populated area. A lot of chemtrails going on. And still a lot of people say, oh, come on. Those just come from the airplanes. That's just the airplanes.
Those are contrails, not chemtrails.
Yeah. Well, you don't really see, if you pay attention, you really don't see that from the airplanes that are, landing and taking off from the municipal airports.
Right.
You don't see that. The chemtrails, they're very different.
Oh, yeah.
And they say, the wider they are, the more toxic they are.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this before, they're removing fluoride. They're not adding fluoride to a lot of the municipal waters anymore.
Because it's in the spray there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went.
They're not putting it in the water. Now it's in the air.
Right. The name of our show is, if we can't get you this way, we'll get you another way.
Yeah.
One way or another.
One way or the other. Yeah, that's true. So another good one to have on hand in the cabinet is ginger. It's very stimulating to the whole digestive tract. It also helps the liver lower cholesterol levels. It's been used for motion sickness and nausea in general. So the other thing that ginger does is it stimulates the wall of the stomach to release hydrochloric acid. Oh, okay. So if you have, it's good to drink a cup of ginger tea before a meal. If you tend to be someone who a lot of foods don't seem to digest quickly, and your stomach feels real heavy, and it seems like it's sluggish, and things are pretty slow to digest down. Drinking a cup of ginger tea will help that hydrochloric acid to be released on the stomach wall, so that when it's usually the protein takes the longest to digest. So that's where you get that kind of heavy, sluggish feeling from in the stomach, is not digesting the proteins quick enough. So ginger will help to do that. Ginseng is excellent. Ginseng and bee pollen when someone is really sick, to help with getting some energy, some stamina going. Bee pollen and ginseng. Chinese and American ginseng. It's a great tonic for the whole body. And it's food for the glands. It's an adaptogen, which means it's a balancing agent. It helps to relieve stress from other organs that are especially affecting the liver. So it also helps to give the liver more energy to heal itself. Golden seal, I was just talking about that. It's another bitter herb, and but you don't really want it in large doses. It's very, very powerful, and it's to be used really with good judgment. And caution always if you're consuming golden seal and you tend to have a problem with hypoglycemia, with the low blood sugar. And if you're dealing with hypoglycemia, you need to get your protein level up. Add some food enzymes so that you can digest your protein. Take your food enzymes before you eat your protein meal. But if you deal with blood sugar problems, whether it be low blood sugar or high blood sugar, there's more than likely there are too many simple carbohydrates in your diet. Sugar, white sugar, beet sugar, high fructose corn syrup, white flour, white rice. These are most things that are white are the things you need to eliminate out of your diet. If it's white, get rid of it. And including dairy, because that's mucus forming. It is pasteurized and homogenized. Their exoenzyme is created from the pasteurization process involving the heat. So you want to make sure that those that cause the problems in your diet, you need to eliminate them, especially if you realize shortly after consuming them that you have some type of a reaction and could have a sensitivity to them. Golden seal, though, it is considered a general tonic for the digestive tract, respiratory, and the circulatory system. It is it's a wonderful natural antibiotic. Licorice is another herb that it also does a lot of things at once. It not only soothes and heals the liver and the digestive tract, it also helps to balance the adrenal glands that are always involved with low blood sugar. And it's amazing to me all the people these days that complain about having low blood sugar. Look at the diet. And if you're eating all of these simple carbs, and if you're eating all of these foods that are fried and they're mixes and they have all these preservatives and chemicals and food dyes and high fructose corn syrup in them and sucralose and, everything in there, you're going to have a problem with stabilizing and having a good balance with your blood sugar. Protein. Protein is the best thing to stabilize the blood sugar. Okay. Nuts, seeds, grass-fed beef, free-range chickens, free-range eggs. There's a lot of protein in one egg. So, very, very good. Licorice root, again, is the adrenal glands. A lot of adrenal glands play a big part with low blood sugar, and the adrenal glands are responsible for why everybody feels so exhausted. They're so burnt out from stress. Licorice root is a good way to get that all into balance and get some energy going. There's the adrenal support that has some adrenal glandular in it. It has licorice in it. HYA is a specific combination for balancing the blood sugar. And then single licorice. If you really have a problem with low blood sugar or a lot of fatigue and exhaustion. Licorice root, though, is one of those herbs that do not use them if you have hypertension, blood pressure. So sometimes, some of the herbs come with a, warning that you need to use them with respect. And it's not necessarily that, it's like with silver. Silver is something you can take it every day as an antiviral, antibacterial. It attracts oxygen in the cell, and oxygen is what kills viruses and bacteria. It keeps the cell healthy. Kills off fungus. Okay, so it is something that is, very good to have around, and it's our preference around our house. I have all of these things, but silver is always the first. That's the first that I go to. And with winter coming on and the kids in school and a lot of them starting to consume all of these foods, the candy and everything, which, remember, I've talked about it before, sugar paralyzes the immune system. So you can shut your immune system down for a matter of 12 to 24 hours, depending upon how much sugar you're consuming. So it paralyzes that immune system, and you've got to have that immune system up and running, especially coming into our fall and winter months, and everybody gets sicker. But look at the diet trend that starts to take place in the fall.
True.
There is a lot more sugar going on in the diet. Parsley, talked about that a little bit. It should never be left to die on the restaurant platter. They use it for decoration. I always dip mine in the water. I always have them bring me water and then a side of lemons, and then I squeeze quite a few lemons into my water. And then the first thing I'll do is pick up the parsley, and I'll dip it into the water with the lemon and eat it. Chew it up. That is, at most restaurants, unless you're going to an organic restaurant, it is something that it's going to contain more nutrients in it than probably what you're going to set out to eat on that plate. So, yellow dock, it's an anti-gas. It helps with indigestion, antibacterial, loaded with minerals and trace minerals as well. Yellow dock is wonderful for the bloodstream. All of the docks, even burdock, is very good for the bloodstream, and it's good for the liver. Yellow dock is very good for the digestive organs. It's really important for the gallbladder, which is the storage bag for a lot of the bad fats that you consume if you're consuming a lot of canola oil or margarine. Terrible stuff. I mean, this shouldn't be in your home. Your refrigerator shouldn't have any margarine. Your cabinets should not have any canola oil or vegetable oil or anything like that. It needs to be butter, organic olive oil, organic coconut oil, organic walnut oil is really good. Sesame oil. Just make sure everything is organic. But yellow dock also is high in iron, and it's a good way to build up an iron level in the body. So, the other thing, a few things here. We don't have much time left here. Vitamin E not only reduces cholesterol, but it also helps with the oxidated cholesterol, which is the low density, the bad cholesterol. Okay, so you've got your low density and the high density lipids, and that is the measurement of the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol. So the bad cholesterol oxidizes, and it creates much more stress on the arteries and on the wall of the veins. So vitamin E is the antioxidant vitamin that's very specific to protecting from this oxidation. It also is a natural blood thinner. So vitamin E it's excellent for the circulatory system. And vitamin E also carries oxygen throughout the body. And since it is a fat-soluble vitamin, it's kind of like when I talked about the omega-3s. The omega-3s, the coating of the cell wall is omega-3.
Right.
Okay.
Right, I remember that.
So oil will penetrate oil.
Right.
Vitamin E is a fat-soluble vitamin. So vitamin E has the ability to penetrate the cell wall. Okay, so fat is to fat.
Right.
Okay? So it will help to also deliver oxygen into the cell, like the silver does.
Okay. Interesting.
All right. There was something, this was some information from John Hopkins Medical Center back in 91, quite a while ago. They talk about all these medical devices that are implanted into people every year. Do you know that the majority of these devices that they implant are defective?
Oh, geez.
And a lot of the recipients, because, people move and things change in their life, and maybe they're not seeing that same doctor anymore, and they move away to a couple other states, and and when there's recalls, sometimes they can't even get a hold of the people.
Wow.
On the recalls, and that's something that was John Hopkins Medical Center back in 91. And this is October. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I did some past shows on breast cancer. I think it was like last October.
Right.
Yeah. We have the E-TEA product, which is a specific formula that was called Essiac. And Renee Cassay, it is her last name spelled backwards. That's the Essiac. That tea she used, matter of fact, she was ran out of the United States in, the 1930s.
Wow, that's harsh.
And she took off and fled to Canada. And people came to her from all over the world. She lived to be well into her late 90s. And she never ended up developing any breast cancer. She took care of a lot of hormone-based cancers. And the Essiac is what she used, 3 ounces of it twice a day with people that were in an active stage of some type of hormone-related cancer. And she was very, very successful. Canada welcomed her in. She fled from the United States, and Canada welcomed her in. And actually, the town that she ended up in, they hooked her up with a hotel that had been, seized for back taxes. The city donated that to her, gave it to her, and she turned that into a place for people to come to and be taken care of and get educated until they went back home. And very, very successful formula. So it's very easy to take. You boil a cup of water, open and empty 3 capsules, empty the herb mixture that's in those capsules into that hot water, hit it with a spoon, it dissolves right down, and drink that upon rising in the morning, and drink it in the evening before you go to bed. It is an incredible combination and very well worth the money. So, well, that is all we have time for today. Be careful with the trick-or-treating this Saturday night. Be sure to continue to check bags and separate that stuff out. And a lot of times what has always happened around our house is once you kind of section it out and you put it away, they forget about it. So,
well, you can bring it to me.
And you'll eat it. You'll eat it.
I'll help you out.
But, yeah, good protein supper before they go out, before the trick-or-treaters go out, so that they really aren't wanting, then they'll have the energy and the stamina to go, and they won't have a sugar tooth going on. So good luck, be safe, and have a great week, and I will be here next week. Take care.